We'll have to go across to Tobago virtually as we're going to be chatting with someone there. So, with the stay-at-home order in place, borders closed not just here in Trinidad and Tobago, but around the world, one can only dream of vacationing on an island with warm beaches and crystal clear waters like Tobago. My next guest, Mr. Louis Lewis, CEO of the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited, is here to tell us about how we can still visit Tobago online during this time. Welcome, Mr. Louis.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
So how has the Tobago tourism industry been coping with COVID-19?
Well, the Tobago tourism industry has been hit very hard, like every other destination that depends on tourism. In the fact that the borders have been closed and we have not had any arrivals coming in. And that is understandable because we operate under the stay-at-home orders. So we are definitely impacted significantly by the closure of the borders. And of course, as we and the rest of the world tries to grapple with containing the virus and limiting its spread among our population.
Now, there's this digital campaign that you have started. Tell us about it.
Well, what we have decided is that we're not going to disappear, notwithstanding the fact that the borders are closed and people are not traveling now. We are going to remain very active and in contact with our major clients and people who have indicated an interest in Tobago. So what we would have done is to develop a campaign where we are now gathering a lot of information from previous visitors who have come to our destination and sharing their experiences. And what we are doing is that we are replicating those experiences, curating them, and replicating them on our social media platforms, and as well as having them exhibited on our website so that our outreach through all the networks that we are connected with is featuring the experiences of people having a good time in Tobago so that when the borders do reopen, that we will still remain top of mind. That is essentially the foundation of the campaign that we have launched. And we're working very closely with the travel partners, so the tour operators and the airline companies who we have engaged over the years to ensure that we reach out to a very wide audience to ensure that we remain top of mind.
I see. And what has the response been since the campaign has been launched?
Yes, the campaign has been launched in the month of April. and we've been reaching out to thousands of potential visitors. So it's very active. The response has been strong, and we are very encouraged by some of the feedback that we are getting from people who have actually looked at some of it.
Now, I understand there's a hashtag, hashtag Dreaming of Tobago. Where can persons access this hashtag?
Well, you can access it through our Facebook page. You can also get it on Instagram, and we have links through our webpage, through our website as well. It's shared across all our platforms. So once you do a search for the Tobago Tourism Agency or Visit Tobago, you will get access to the material, and you'll be seeing some of the content that we have exhibited on Tobago.
I'd like to go a little bit more into the business strategy that this campaign seeks to address. What is the business goal of this campaign? What do you expect out of it?
Well, we expect that the return to business will be a gradual shift. But what we also anticipate is that it is going to be even more competitive than it was pre-COVID. And that is because a number of destinations would have closed, and we are all going to be looking for those initial willing travelers. So it's going to be very, very competitive. Our advantage is to stay at the top of the mind, and staying at the top of the mind means a continuous engagement with our potential visitors, those that we have already known. And at the same time, we want to ensure that people can see what is unique and interesting about Tobago. It's going to be very difficult. So it's going to be very competitive to encourage somebody to travel beyond their own concerns about their health. So we are staying in the game, so to speak, and still continuing to do as extensive a reach out as is possible. There are a lot more people staying at home. There are a lot more people who are online, looking at options, looking at things they were familiar with and things they would like to do when they return. when the world returns back to some semblance of a normalcy. So we are reaching out as far and as wide as is possible, of course, utilizing our digital platforms. And it's something that we've learned to do over the past year and a half, and we're just keeping ourselves relevant and keeping ourselves at the front of people who are looking for options.
Now, they have mentioned that it is expected that the effects of this pandemic would be for anywhere between 18 months to 2 years or so. Do you think that the tourism in Tobago could weather the storm for that long?
Well, it's going to be a gradual return to business, and we have to be able to ensure that we remain active. It is going to be a long return to what we knew before, and that return is going to start, we think, with the domestic market, where there's some level of familiarity and the ease of getting to Tobago is relatively, simple. We think the next market that will come is the regional market, as people move within the bubble and the familiarity of the region. And those two markets have been important for us. The third phase, which we think is going to take a little more persuasion as people begin to get more confident and there's a better handle on the pandemic, we think will come from the international market. But that is going to take a little while. I've seen a number of surveys where people have been told on their willingness to travel soon, and how quickly they would like to, take long haul travels. And it definitely looks like beyond 3 months, probably closer to the end of the year and into next year. So motivating people to travel long haul is going to be a bit of a challenge, but we are up for the task. And hopefully our businesses will survive the hiatus to some extent.
To some extent, yeah. It's a long one. It could possibly be a long one. And, when we do come out of that hiatus, as you mentioned, what do you think the new normal would look like? Would there be, do you think that the level of sanitation would continue along that trend? Would you see people wearing masks as we are right now? What do you think the new normal would look like for Tobago tourism and those tourism providers in Tobago?
I think social distancing will become a normal feature of our existence and interaction. Maybe not as stringent as it is now, but people will become more conscious of their own personal space and their own personal hygiene. That is one thing for sure. The direct interaction between persons and businesses, or persons providing services, that is going to change. The world of technology and even commerce has already started to adapt to it, so you'll be seeing more online interaction. But when people do travel, you'll be seeing more digital interactions. For instance, a lot more payments using electronic cards will become the new norm. And I think I'm anticipating that it will get even to the point of contactless transactions, where you would no longer be swiping cards, but just passing cards over surfaces. That is going to be a new normal. There are going to be a lot more protocols as it relates to hygiene, sanitation practices, and you will see some of those references being made by guests on places like platforms like TripAdvisor and all of those other third-party user-generated assessments. That is going to become a key variable in persuading people to move from one place to the next. All of those things are not stringent now, but definitely will become part of the new landscape, and people will be looking at reviews and examining protocols and systems that have been put in place to assure them some level of safety. Because at the end of this virus is the potential worst case scenario, and people need to feel comfortable that they can, that they can come enjoy themselves and go back. So we have a lot to do with regard to how we communicate with people on the measures and systems that we have put in place to assure their own safety.
All right. Well, with that one, I want to thank you for joining us this morning, Louis Lewis, CEO of the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited, for giving us that information there on, the way to move forward and what Tobago is doing, the TTLA is doing to, TTAL rather, is doing to, keep people, keep Tobago in mind and Tobago
at the top
as a
of people's mind when it's time to visit places.
To visit places as a tourism destination.
Yeah.
And we are now perilously close to the top of the hour, 7 o'clock. So we're going to kick it upstairs to the TTT News Center for the news at 7. We'll be back with the second hour of the show after that.